Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video. Before we start, I would like to go through the book recommendation for today. Today we have The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. One of my favorite books. It shows so many aspects of life that you meet very often but don't realize. I recommend this book for any man who wants to be promoted in his job, in relationships, overall in life. Without further ado, let's see what the author of this masterpiece, Robert Greene, has to say about the dark side of Hollywood.
Started on writing about the topic of power. What makes you knowledgeable about power?
Well, I don't really have a degree. It's not anything I could say, I graduated from Princeton with a degree in psychology.
Those are overrated anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. I don't have anything like that. Basically what happened was in my 20s and 30s, I sort of knew that I wanted to be a writer, but I couldn't quite figure out what I wanted to write. So I tried my hand at all these different jobs. I worked in journalism. I lived in Europe for many years. I worked in a hotel as a receptionist, a tour guide in Ireland, a teacher of English in Spain. I worked in a detective agency here in Los Angeles. You name it, I did it. And then I worked in Hollywood prior to writing my first book. And through all of these experiences, I observed every manner of manipulation and power game that was going on from all different kinds of bosses and all different kinds of endeavors. And I'm somebody who kind of likes authenticity and realness in people. The fact that we're sort of ashamed of our own nature. We're ashamed that we're this animal that actually has desires for power, that has ambitions, that has a dark side, has always disturbed me. And so based on my experiences and based on all I had learned throughout my years of wandering through my studies in college, the books that I read, I wrote the 48 Laws of Power. Now, I can't say it came from anything else except my own experience and my own brain, but I think the success it has shown that it somehow has resonated with the truth with so many people.
Okay. So from your experience in Hollywood, what was the type of manipulation that you saw that was mainly used there?
Well, every single form, because it's a place where people pretend to be so liberal, so woke, so progressive, but really what motivates a lot of their behavior is just naked power. They want to have admiration, they want to be recognized, and they want to be respected as someone who has a position of power in the pecking order in Hollywood, right? And so they don't reveal that. It's things that I observed going on behind the scenes that revealed to me all of these manipulative games that were going on. So many of the laws of power were kind of based on things I observed, such as conceal your intentions, such as get others to do the work but always take the credit, on and on and on, crush your enemy totally. I observed all of those in my experiences in Hollywood because people are motivated to disguise all of their maneuvers. You don't want to be seen as somebody who's later revealed to be a Harvey Weinstein. You want to project this liberal, magnanimous image. And so it's like something you don't really ever talk about or see, but I saw from firsthand experience, and that's what I wrote about. I mean, I could tell you specific stories. I don't know if you're interested in that or not.
I'm interested. I'm definitely interested.
Well, the story that kind of sticks out mainly in my mind was I was working for a director. I'm not going to say his name. And basically, he had written a screenplay. And he was just sort of starting out as a director. He'd written a screenplay, and he knew that if he tried to be the director himself, people would think he was being too ambitious. He was going to write and just direct it and all of that. So what he did was instead, working with the producer, he made a point of hiring this young man who I believe at the time was in his late 20s, who was just starting out, who had written a screenplay and had directed one film. And he hired him knowing full well that it was above his head and that he was more than likely going to fail. And he kind of set it up so the guy would fail. He wasn't always there to help him with meetings, and he wasn't helping him working on the script, etc. And so lo and behold, 2 days into production, the guy was messing up left, right, and center, and the producer fired him. And now the man that I was working for was able to come and say, look, I can rescue this project. Let me direct it. And he concealed his intentions completely. Nobody had suspected that he was really kind of behind all of this, that he was sort of maneuvering it in that direction. And then it made him look like he was the rescuing angel, as opposed to this devious Machiavellian person who had set it all up.
That's creepy. That sounds like an exhausting way to live, keeping track of all the stories that you're telling people. It sounds like a lot of work.
You mean for me personally?
Well, no, I meant for the guy who had manipulated this person into failing and then taken credit for being the savior.
Yeah, it didn't, in the end, what bothered me most of all about it, because, I can't help but say that I'm a little bit admiring people who have the guts to pull something like that off. But on the other hand, he basically ruined this guy's career because it was such a failure that it really hurt his reputation. I know I followed it up immediately afterwards, and he hadn't written or directed anything since. He may have somehow revived his career, I'm not sure, but it really, really hurt his reputation. And so that was the thing that really, really bothered me in the end.
Okay, well, it sounds like something that should bother you. That's interesting. I feel like trying to weave those stories and manipulate situations like that, I feel like it's actually more difficult just to do things honestly.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, the way he went about it, hiring somebody and then having them fail and then saving it, I feel like that's actually the easy way out compared to doing what's honest, which is, hey, I wrote this screenplay and I want to direct it, and then fighting that way, which probably makes your life more pleasant in the long run, rather than having to manipulate everybody. Is a lot of Hollywood like that, with people just playing these games?
Well, it's my own personal experience. I saw that up front. I can't say that it's anecdotal, but I've now been working with people in Hollywood who were trying to produce some of my own books for film and television, and I consult with a lot of directors and actors and people in the business. And and then they all have stories to tell me about things that are even worse than what I've told you. So I do believe it's pretty, spread out there. And even though things are getting better in some ways, they're trying to diversify Hollywood, with more women and more ethnicities, et cetera. Still, that old kind of power dynamic is there because it's an industry that it's always been like that, going back to the earliest days in the 1920s. And so I don't think that's ever really going to change. There is one industry I can tell you that's even worse than Hollywood, which is I've learned through my, exposure to rappers, et cetera, is the music industry. The things that go on in the music industry make Hollywood look like kindergarten. But
Okay. And is that mostly like relationships between men and women in the music industry?
No, it's between like record producers and artists and managers, et cetera. Where it's a very, very exploitative environment where, people that you never really know where the money is coming from, how many albums you've sold. Particularly now with with so many things being streamed, there's a lot of deception going on, a lot of funny marketing, funny accounting going on to hide the revenue streams. And then people who are fresh, who come into the business early on, they sign contracts without realizing that they're signing away all the ownership to their work. Ooh. It was 50 Cent who kind of revealed a lot of this to me. And he said, he grew up on the streets of Southside Queens, dealing crack, seeing people murdered, dealing with hardcore stuff day in and day out. And he said, nothing had ever prepared me for the shit I saw in the music business. It was worse because at least on the streets, people were direct. And you kind of more or less knew where they were coming from, but he never knew where these people were coming from, and it was very disorienting.
I wonder if that's going to change rather dramatically. Like, things are changing so much with people being able to grow social media profiles and have followers on YouTube. I know a couple of artists that haven't signed with anyone because they're like, why? I already
Right.
have, 2 million followers on YouTube. The marketing aspect is kind of gone. I'm wondering if that'll change. And then these contracts that are like, what are they called? The ones that you, like you said, you sign away everything. Like that's got to start fading away. Even just book publishers, I find, that take a large percentage because they're offering marketing services. Well, a lot of people don't need marketing services anymore if they can get on podcasts or, yeah.
It's true. It's very true. And there's a kind of a democratization going on. But the only thing that's the film business is different, I think, than those other examples, because to make a film and market it, you really, really are dependent on the Hollywood power structure. You could make your film cheap on an iPhone, for instance, which people do nowadays, and film it, but you're not going to be able to get a theatrical release. You're not going to be able to get it streaming on Netflix, etc. So you are very much dependent on the old power structures there. So that kind of democratization that's very positive that's going on with the internet, it's happening a little bit in Hollywood, but I think it's going to reach a limit.
Hello guys, this is another input of myself in the video. I hope you have a good day and a productive day. Thank you for watching this video. Today's advice is be a better listener. And this is the basic advice that you see everywhere. But it's basic if you want to take it like that. But what I'm trying to say is not just listen to people's ideas, be there. Put yourself in that person's view. And what this will do for you is, first, of course, will make you a better listener and a more enjoyable person, but it will help you in seeing what people's strengths and weaknesses are. And some people will say, why should I want to know about people's weaknesses? Is this manipulation 101? I believe that you're watching this type of content, and of course you are not that kind of person. And I believe you understand why it's important to know about those things. But for the ones who didn't know, I will give you a simple example why you should know. Okay, so let's take the relationship scenario. You just get in a relationship, you're talking with somebody, you get close to that person, and at some point that person comes to you and shares with you some of their childhood trauma, some bad thing about their past. Basically, what you should do in that moment is cut all distractions and just be there. Listen to every detail that person say. And after that, on 1 week, 2 weeks in the future, do something that will remind them of that thing that they told you. But do the opposite thing, like do some good thing, do the, let's say they never get some material thing from their last relationship or something, and do that small gesture that will make them happier, that will make them know that you listen to them, that you noted in your mind that stuff, and you're trying to improve and fit the holes in the past of that person. Basically, what this will do for you is, 1, it will make you a better listener, of course, but 2, it will stronger the bond with that person, because that person will understand that you are there for them, you understand them, you listen to them, and much important, you take action. You not just listen to them, but you are up on the another level, you are up there when you take action and take time and do something good. And I don't know if this is manipulation 101, if you want to call it like that, and it's a bad thing or a good thing. I believe it's a good thing. I believe everybody should do that, because I don't know, we are human beings, we are social animals, and we should be good with each other, and we should explore each other, especially if you have a good relationship or long-term relationship with somebody. So until I catch you in the next video, I hope you listen to people and I hope you have a good day. Peace.